Welcome back to another episode on the 6K Sports Sedan Challenge presented by Continental Tire, where today we're getting to work on the Lexus. And you might think I'm just going to win this whole thing on style and maybe go play some horseshoes after that. But you'd be wrong, everyone, because I'm getting serious about grip. I know some of you guys are here thinking, oh, it's time to wrap up the supercharger install, but no, we're still waiting on that solution for the throttle body adapter. It'll be here soon. That'll be in the next episode. So today we are going to get down to a bit more suspension work. If you watched earlier, you know we put on those Fortunato coilovers, but what we didn't have was a proper solution for wheel alignment.
Well, before we get into the nitty-gritty of this, DP,
Yeah.
I recently saw this post,
Okay.
the comment there about the Lexus. Can you read that for me so everybody
Okay.
can hear?
John Paul Daly II says, I have a 2006 Lexus LS430 and I've spent about $20,000 in maintenance at Lexus over 4 years, and now they want another $5,000 for front suspension and routine maintenance. Selling it with 202,000 miles for $11,900 in Delray Beach, Florida. Let me know if you're interested.
Looks like John's trying to sell an automobile that he probably deems very unreliable. Is that
Yes.
possible? Could this be the Lexus is not built as good as you've been saying it is?
I mean, I think there's always an example of any car that you can find that gives an owner some problems, but we do know that in general, these things are incredibly reliable. I'm also thinking that John Paul in Delray Beach, Florida might be getting hosed by his dealership pretty hard, because I'm sorry, but $5,000 in front suspension and routine maintenance, that doesn't add up to me. And frankly, if you have a 14-year-old Lexus, maybe don't take it to the dealership where they're going to charge you twice what they'll charge you at a mom and pop shop, or even better, do it yourself, because these things are pretty darn easy to work on.
People are going to see exactly what to do and upgrade some suspension components while they're at it,
That's right? No, this is not just a piece of eye candy, everyone. I know you're all here to see the wheels on here. I've seen the comments, and a lot of you said last episode while working on the supercharger that you were just here to see the wheels, and I get it. I see you. I know I love the wheels too, but to get the most out of those wheels and tires, we really do need a proper performance alignment on this car, and we really had no way of adjusting camber. There's obviously some toe adjustability, but camber was the bigger issue, especially since I have had a bit of tire rub in the rear over, high-speed compressions. And up front, for adjusting camber, well, we haven't had any rubbing in the front yet, but we haven't been on the track yet, and I feel like there's a good chance it will rub, so we want to be able to put more camber in, and again, we'll be able to get more grip out of it with proper adjustability. So for that, we have turned to hard race via our friends at Stage 4 Motorsports. Stage 4 has been a hard race distributor since like 2005, and they've taken care of us on all of our hard race needs since we started this channel. We've done hard race on a ton of projects, the S2000, the Evo, my Celica, I mean, the list goes on, and it's really, really good stuff. We've beaten the living daylights out of this stuff at the track and have never had any problems with it. So love the quality, love the finish too. It's good stuff. Not inexpensive for this car. There is a bit of a Lexus tax involved, but it's worth it, because, I mean, look at this thing, everyone. There you have it. The upper control arm is in place, and it all went in very easily. A little bit of a struggle getting the original castle nut off, but that's to be expected. And man, I really like the design of this hard race upper arm. It's very clever the way it uses a, well, actually I can show you easier on here, but it has this inner point threaded with a jam nut here, but you can also change the length of it from this side. So I can put this Allen in here and change the length of it. And as you can see on the car, that makes it extremely easy to adjust camber from over here. I don't have to go go deep in there and fight with the jam nut and try to, just take the ball joint out and turn it and all that. So very clever design. By the way, I have heard that these upper control arms are prone to failure. I'm not sure if it's the bushings or the ball joint or maybe even the aluminum housing might crack here where it's quite thin. But John Paul down there in Boca Vista Phase 3, if you got $5,000 to spend on your front suspension, I'll sell you these for like $500.
To freshen up the front end a little bit more here, we are going to replace the outer tie rod with the Dorman Premium Extended Life part, and that just means it's got better components in it, a stronger ball joint and nicer coating on here, so it keeps it from rusting. Speaking of rust, I'm going to spray a bunch of the fluid film in here because I did notice when I was trying to take this off, it was a little bit chunky, and you can see there's a ton of rust in there, so that'll certainly help keep the rust away and Nam happy if he has to do an alignment on this. The other piece that I removed is this is a part of the lower control arm, and this is like a key huge bushing, and I read online that these bushings tend to fail and they cause slop. And Dave, you were complaining about the shimmy that was going on, and that can be a cause of this. So check this out. This bushing certainly looks like it's shot. You can see it's torn here.
Yeah.
And if I put this extension in here, look at that, man.
Oh, yeah, it's really cracked.
Like it's got the old full crack, full failure here.
Crack going on there. Yeah.
Here we have our bushing press kit, and this has really come in handy lately. Anytime we're trying to do a bushing, it's a pretty awesome tool. So you can see what it usually comes with is a shaft like this and these bearing nuts on here, I suppose, and then you put it through and you can press it like that. But what I usually do is take this out of here, line this up now over here. So that size is the diameter of the outside lip, and now we have this guy, which is the diameter of the inside, and we can use it on the press quite easily. The contraption is built here, and now this should press through. This is a huge bushing, so it's going to require a bunch of force.
Jeez.
Oh.
Jeez.
Usually it just go nice, smooth through, but right now it's just like popping. See, like, oh wow. But it'll get there.
Wow.
Now let's see, does the brush fit perfectly into the hole here? Oh, DP.
Destiny. Look at how cooperative this Lexus is, Peter.
Ooh, look at that in and out motion here.
My
that's
God.
sexy.
Now that you've given that a nice rim job, PT, it looks like you've lubed the tip over here.
That's right. That is a pro tip. Always lube up, never go in dry. You can see we are now ready to hammer this thing back in, and I'm going to use the old bushing here.
Oh,
just because it deserves a second chance in life. Oh, that's not going to work. It's actually just pushing.
Oh, it's true. It's pushing the
rubber.
part
Yeah, yes.
It's a good way to ruin a bushing now.
That is a great way to ruin a bushing. There it goes. Just felt it line up. Down we go.
Pro tip number 2. Got to put a cup under your bushing or it won't be able to push all the way through.
A couple of rookie mistakes here. Should we be giving pro tips?
No, clearly
Probably
we shouldn't.
not.
No.
Oh, that's the way we're working here. I'm gonna go here further. That's it. Did we overshoot or did we get it just right?
Oh, I have confidence.
Oh, look at that. Oh man, I don't think I could have done a better job.
Jeez, you are a pro.
Look at the alignment on that.
Woo.
Once I put this back on here, I think that means we are officially done on this side, which means, or on the front, which means it's time to move on to the back.
I know we only did the one arm up front, but out back, we're doing all the arms because, well, it gives us infinite adjustability and to really give us the clearance that we need because, as I mentioned earlier, the rear tire was rubbing on this lip. We want to have not only the ability to put some camber in it, but to also potentially change the track width. And with all these arms, we can do both of those things. So we're going to be able to position the wheel exactly where we want it with all this adjustability. Starting with the upper control arm. This is all hard rate stuff again, obviously. And as you can see, we've got adjustability here, which will adjust for camber. And we also have this lower camber arm, which we can change the camber from the bottom of the wheel. And with that top arm, we'll be able to change the camber from the top of the wheel. And I believe with the combination of these 3 lower links, we can also move the wheel potentially inboard. And we can also position the wheel for caster and thrust angle with this traction rod. This is the front arm. So that will not only position the wheel in the wheel well, but can also change our camber curve. Generally, when you lower a car, you want to lengthen the traction rod to get your camber curve sort of back into like OE spec where it's in the sweet spot so that the camber changes on a very gradual and predictable curve. If this gets too far out of whack, it'll suddenly change camber more dramatically and that can cause some inconsistent handling. So this will let us dial that in. And last but not least, we got a nice little tow arm because setting rear toe is pretty crucial on a rear drive sports sedan like this PT. It's gonna be burning the rubber up. So this is gonna be a little bit of a job to fit this all in.
I think it's my turn to rip on the Lexus here with good reason because this multi-link, the way they have designed it to be installed is an absolute nightmare. The tow arm here had a really long bolt that I could not, you had to like go around the back, it was touching the chassis, you had to like finagle it out of there, you had to twist the arm to get it out. Not to mention this upper control arm, the bolt back there, the nut is like this close from the chassis. It's like in this little cocoon. It goes like this. I had to come in with like 2 fingers.
Oh my God.
It was a disaster. Like, who designed this? Anyways, what a nightmare. Thankfully, it is over. I will say, if this was on a hoist, it would be easier. We kind of just like had mobility issues. I mean, if we raised this thing up, there would have been a little bit more. But I think all of that cursing, swearing, and effort is worth it because this stuff looks like it is going to be good. And I think it's going to offer a much sportier ride, DP. Your old man luxury cruiser, it's going to be a little bit better, isn't it?
For sure. I'm going to be a party in the back here.
She's back on the ground and wow, we put a bunch of camber in it, maybe too much. I'm guessing we probably have 3.5 degrees or so. And I would say we are going to maybe clear now, but I don't know. I still feel like there's maybe the possibility of it rubbing. So the beauty of this setup that we have now is that all those hard race arms are fully adjustable. We can actually narrow the rear track width a little bit and take some camber out of it because I really don't want 3.5 degrees of camber in the rear of the car. I'd rather have maybe 1.5 degrees to 2 degrees at the most. So we'll narrow it, take some camber back out, and make sure that we've got good clearance to the fender lip here. Well, I think for a first guess at that, it actually turned out really well. We have taken some camber out and we've moved the wheel in a little bit. And just by eye, I think we might just clear the lip, but still a little bit concerned. So we've got an idea about how to stroke the wheel here and check for sure. Can you cough for me twice? No, it's not a medical exam, everyone. What I'm doing is actually lowering the spring. We've got such a long threaded shock body on this car that we can lower the spring so that there's no, it's not holding the car up anymore. So we'll be on the damper. Normally what you would do is like actually take the spring right out. Then you can stroke the suspension without the spring stopping you from doing that. But we have the luxury of just lowering this spring and having the same outcome. So we should be able to stroke the wheel. You guys ready for the tucked look? Because this is what you're gonna get. It is gonna be close though. Woo! We've got like oh man, a mil or two there.
Keep going.
Still got room.
Wow.
It is super tight. Holy cow. Wow.
I can see there's like a tiny
There's like a
gap.
tiny gap. I've actually got a piece of paper here. Let's see if we can clear it in here. Oh, it's tight there, but it does go. But boy, it's tight like right in here.
Yeah.
It's so close, man. First of all, how sick does that look? Oh my God, that is amazing. I really like the camber setting right now. I don't want to tuck it in if I don't have to, because when it comes down, it just looks so good being flush the way it is. So I think maybe what we should do, Pete, is like just heat this area up a little bit and just give it a tiny bit of a roll.
Yeah, yeah.
It just needs a mil of clearance. So we don't have to like really roll it aggressively, just a tiny roll and we'll be good.
The fender rolling action has come to a pause and I feel like I'm not going to go any further. I did put a bunch of heat into here, and despite that, the paint is cracking because there's two pieces of metal. There's like two seams that come together on this car. There's one that sticks out, and then there's another one, which is this lip here underneath it. And as soon as I started rolling this one, it cracked the paint, which caused the paint to start peeling here. So I'm at a point now where I'm like, I don't want to go any further because it may start cracking it out here. We definitely don't want that. This inside is fine. We can touch that up very easily. So what I'm going to turn to is just a sanding disc on our Milwaukee grinder here. I'm going to come in and just gently massage it in this area. Looks like the job is done and perfect. We've got a very nice gap here. Even if we needed to add a tiny bit of camber outwards, I think we're still gonna be fine. So, looks like the grinder with that sanding disc or the flapper wheel is the way to go.
Just trying to clean this metally dust off the paint here, but I don't know. I'm starting to have second thoughts because maybe I'm just scratching the paint even more. Let me know in the comments if I'm an idiot for doing this or not. The problem is, of course, by the time I read your comments, this will have already been done, but
I don't know. I mean, there is logic to not leaving it on there. It is metal,
yeah,
which could like cut into the paint.
Yeah, give me
at the
like,
same time.
Yeah.
Running a towel over it.
Well,
but it is a microfiber cloth, so it is sucking it up.
It is picking up the dirt for
yeah,
sure. But
so maybe.
I don't know.
Let's look at the paint here. It looks pretty clean still, dude.
Yeah, I think we're okay. Time for a little Pour 15. This stuff is actually a remarkably good color match for this car, and it is an amazing, very durable way to seal up metal. So I think it's the right call in this situation. And for those of you who have followed my Pour 15 saga in the past, you'll know that we've had challenges like sealing the container after opening it, and if it's not sealed perfectly, the stuff goes hard in there, and this little guy is worth a pile of money. This is like 50 or 60 bucks. So we actually met with the guys at Pour 15, and they said, you know what, try just drilling a hole in the top and then putting a screw in it afterward and letting the pour on top of it kind of like seal it, and it'll stay good. And sure enough, that method has worked remarkably well. It's still fully liquid in there. So there you have it. It is, I think, truly dialed in. We've got the suspension right where we want it to be. And obviously we need to go get a proper alignment done, but as far as the fit of the wheels go, I think we have truly achieved perfection, at least from my perspective. I know everyone has different ideas about, the way these things should fit up, but I am mega pumped on this. And In fact, I'm so pumped on this car and on this look. I think we got to upgrade the name of this thing from the Lexus to the Flexus.
Oh,
That's right, everybody. I am flexing pretty hard on the M5 Touring over there. I know you might want to call it the Swagger Wagon, but to me the Flexus is just winning so much. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We will get back to that supercharger install very soon. And in the meantime, consider YouTube Premium. I actually just signed up for it myself, and wow, not having any ads to watch and having a larger cut of the revenue go to creators than ad revenue does is a pretty good bonus in my opinion. And you don't have to sit through ads anymore. Your kids don't get bombarded with ads if they watch YouTube. So if you're like me and you consume a lot of content on YouTube, to me that like 12 bucks Canadian or whatever it is, $8 or $9 US is well worth the money to just not have to waste time on ads or any of that, and knowing that you're supporting your favorite creators automatically at a higher payoff than they would be if you sat through those ads. So give it some thought, everyone. Appreciate your support. And next up, I'm sure you'll see some more of that mediocre BMW pizza over there.